ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Risotto!
What's going on, everybody, and welcome. My name is Steven Risotto. I cover the San Francisco Giants for SF Bay, and I'm the host of RizzoCast, a podcast that features current and former big league players, coaches, fans, media, and others who are regarded as some of the brightest minds around the game of baseball. Today's guest is Daniel Tillo, a left-handed pitcher in the San Francisco Giants organization, a former third-round pick back in 2017 by Kansas City out of the state of Iowa. Tillo spent 4 minor league seasons with Kansas City before being designated for assignment in 2022 during his Tommy John surgery rehab to make room for none other than rising superstar Bobby Witt Jr. The Giants signed him to a minor league deal a few days later, and he was invited to big league camp this spring as a non-roster invitee. On the side, he's also a big sports card collector and has even gone out of his own way to purchase cards of himself from fans. So we discussed competing for a spot in spring training, choosing between basketball and baseball in high school. That was a big decision for him. Rehabbing from injury and collecting and so much more coming up next on RizzoCast. This is episode number 134, and let's get started. All right, and we are back with Daniel Tillo of the San Francisco Giants. And Daniel, I guess first and foremost, have you been keeping up with this World Baseball Classic? Because I mentioned to you off air that I was kind of locked in on it before we hopped on here, and I know the whole country is kind of locked on it, and I guess the whole world to an extent as well. It seems to be taking the baseball world by storm. Are you kind of locked in on it as well? What's your routine, I guess, watching the WBC?
Yeah, I have been. Past few games have been electric. Obviously cheering for Team USA and hoping they pull out the victory. I have 2 former teammates playing, Bobby Witt Jr. and Brady Singer. So, obviously hoping for their successes, and it's just cool to see that.
Yeah, of course. You came from the Kansas City Royals organization. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but you also have played for the United States in the past at some capacity. You competed in the 2019 WBSC Premier 12, and for those that don't know, it featured the 12 highest ranked national teams in the world, and it was held in Mexico, South Korea, Taiwan, Japan. So you're kind of a few years removed from that experience. What do you kind of remember most about representing your country in that tournament?
Yeah, no, just wearing that red, white, and blue across your chest is definitely a very cool feeling. You can't really beat that. And when we played at the Tokyo Dome and we played Japan's, their team, and we actually won that game against them. I just remember playing in front of 40 to 50,000 fans is what I think it seemed like, at least. It was crazy loud and just a crazy cool experience that, I'll cherish forever.
In Japanese baseball, it's taken really seriously, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big time over there. It's cool. Definitely different, but also, baseball's huge over there. So it's very cool to see firsthand and to witness it. And unfortunately, I didn't pitch that game against Japan, but I was in the dugout watching, and I was just as antsy, on the railing, just watching my teammates go out there and compete, just because how packed it was in the atmosphere. It was something special.
And you guys played in Mexico too during that tournament. How was that atmosphere?
Yeah, no, Mexico, it was a good time there too. The crowds weren't as big there as they were in Japan, just facing, I guess, Japan alone in general. Nothing that was absolutely, different or mind-blowing compared to that, but it's definitely cool to still, see the culture down there and stuff like that, and see how baseball impacts down there. So that's definitely neat that I got to experience also.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll see if the United States could defend their title here in the WBC. All right, let's kind of get into the current day here. I mean, you received an invitation to big league spring training camp in Scottsdale by the Giants this season, and I know you were also recently reassigned to minor league camp. So how has overall camp gone for you, and how's everything going?
No, yeah, everything's going well. Big league camp was going good, and then it's just the unfortunate thing of baseball. You can have one tough outing, and you see yourself in minor league camp a couple of days later, unfortunately. But I know I'm feeling healthy now. I know what I need to do each and every day. Take care of myself. Take care of myself on the baseball field. All that stuff. I know what I need to do to accomplish in order to pitch in the big leagues. And that's just really pounding the zone constantly and limiting the walks and getting ground balls. And the more I do that, the more I throw strikes and continue to pound the zone, the more success I'll have.
And it's funny because you mentioned to me that your one of your catch guys is Trevor Hildenberger, who was on the last episode of this podcast. And you guys were both reassigned, and I asked him the same question. I'll ask you, what does the organization tell you when you get reassigned? Because a lot of people, they obviously know the term, being optioned, but they don't necessarily know the
Yeah.
term reassigned because that's more of a spring training thing. So, what was kind of the message that the Giants organization had for you when you were being sent back to minor league camp?
Yeah, no, they like me, and they want to see me help the team out someday. But I still I got to get better. Got to continue to compete every day. Um, Obviously, throwing strikes is really important. Got to limit the walks. I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. Is how often I don't walk people anymore. I just got to constantly just be a little bit better in that category, and the number should play out by itself. Like where my pitches are at right now, and I'm feeling really good. Really the first time I'm going into a full season healthy since 2019, I think. So it's been a while, and I'm very blessed. Got a good support group, and I'm ready to roll this season.
And Trevor can't be an easy guy to play catch with. I mean, he's kind of got the very low 3/4 release. And he
Yeah.
talked about how not a lot of people like to play catch with the sidearm guys. So when he was in Minnesota, the only guy that wanted to do it was actually Taylor Rogers because he has a brother that he plays catch with often in the offseason. So does his stuff move? Is it kind of an uncomfortable like catch session, or what's the deal with playing with him?
Yeah, no, it can definitely be tough if it just depends how the sun is that day, the weather is that day, or if he's aligned in the background of the pitcher's or the batter's eye. I try to make sure the batter's eye is behind him, and then I can see it fine. If not, it's definitely tough, and it's definitely different. He's releasing it so close to the ground, and it's fun. I like catching Trevor, and he'll get down for me, and catch flat grounds for me. So, he's a good teammate to have for sure.
There you go. Yeah, it sounds terrifying in every way. Anyhow, so I know you just mentioned health, and I know being healthy has been something that you've been trying to kind of strive for, I guess, in recent years. You had Tommy John in the middle of the pandemic season in 2020. As of right
Yeah.
now, how is everything feeling with you physically?
It's the best I felt since 2019. So, knock on wood, of course. I'm just taking it day by day. Just happy to be healthy. It's not been great being in rehab the last couple of years. I had a slight tear in my teres major muscle last year with Kansas City, and that's in my shoulder. So I was out for 16 weeks, and then that's when they DFA'd me, and then elected free agency and signed with the Giants and rehabbed with them. I've enjoyed my time here, and I want to make the most out of this year and see what I can do in a full season again because I miss being with the guys, the locker room camaraderie, all that stuff. So I'm just excited to be back and competing.
Now, this is the time of year where we hear all of the, oh, I'm in the best shape of my life, or these are my goals, 40 home runs, 40 steals for a lot of guys, and
Yeah.
pitchers want to throw above 200 innings. Are you kind of a goal-oriented individual at this point in the season? Is there something that you're kind of striving for, I guess, in the short term? Because obviously the long-term goal is probably to make it back to the big leagues, right? But
Yeah.
what is the goal process like for you at this point in camp?
I mean, I just try to keep a positive mindset as much as possible. I don't, I wouldn't say I'm a big goal oriented guy at the moment, just because I'm just thankful to be out on the field and not in the rehab group. It's just, it's been tough the last couple of years with that. So, um, I would say any goals I have is just, just pound the strike zone, compete. That's the biggest thing they told me is you got to get in the zone more. And then, you have a better chance of getting called up. And getting in the zone more will cause more consistency with my delivery. Everything will just be better if I do that. So, um, my main goal is just literally just throwing strikes constantly. I'm just going to pound the zone, make the hitters hit it. And if they can't, it'll work. And if they do hit it, oh well, then I'll adjust off of that and make different, adjustments with my pitches that way. But that's the biggest thing for me. And my goal is continue to pound the strike zone as much as possible.
And I'm sure you're pretty well aware that the Giants are kind of known for their use of the advanced technology when it comes to pitchers. And granted, every team has their information with TrackMan and Rapsodo and all that, but the Giants have kind of had the recent success in transforming careers of a lot of pitchers. Gosman got a multi-year deal. Carlos Rodon gets a multi-year deal. Drew Smiley got a multi-year deal. So they've, DeSclafani and Alex Wood have thrived. Alex Cobb. So you've been in this organization for, a little bit now. What do you think, why do you think they've had this amount of success with pitchers coming through their organization?
No, yeah, I like how, data driven it is. Just working with hey, if you can get your pitch to do this, it shows this with stats and how it will perform against certain hitters or, lefties, righties, all that stuff. It's just cool. And but it's, based to each player and what they do well and what they don't do well and your strengths and weaknesses. They tell you, certain percentages of all your pitches against certain, lefties or righties, and then what you need to work on. And this following year, what you need to do a little bit more, what you need to do a little bit less. It's just very, in depth with goals. I guess that's their organizational goals for us. It's very in depth, and you try to work on that stuff, and it shows that it'll have success if you take care of it. So I just like how data driven it is. It's cool.
And of course, I doubt there's any statistics like RPM or stride length in high school or little league. So to all the young baseball players out there, it's professional baseball. It's where it's at. All right, let's get into,
Yeah.
I guess you personally, I read that you were kind of a standout high school basketball player as well in Iowa. And they call it Mr. Iowa basketball, which I thought was the most brilliant nickname because it's so simple. But you won that in 2015. And it's handed out to the best prep player in the state of Iowa. And there's a time where I read that you had to decide which route to go in college. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, deciding what sport you want to kind of lay your fate in. Take me through kind of that decision-making process on whether you wanted to play basketball or baseball coming up there in high school.
Yeah, no, it was tough. In the summers in Iowa, you have to play summer baseball for your high school. So, that's in May, June, July then, unlike a lot of different states just because of the weather, So that's when I played my baseball. And I played AAU basketball throughout since eighth grade until my junior year of high school, because obviously you don't do it your senior year. But I was traveling for basketball pretty much throughout the United States, really. And even my junior year of high school, I had to stop playing my high school baseball season because I was gone so much for basketball. So I actually missed the last 20 games of my season, actually. And then just senior year, I didn't know what I was going to do still. I got offered 3 Division I scholarships after my sophomore year, but then all those coaches left their program and either got hired somewhere else or they either got fired. So they didn't re-offer me at their new school, or they were at the same school that they were at. So it was just a weird situation for that. And then senior year late, Kentucky offered me for baseball. So I said, sure, why not? And I committed there. And, I'm glad I took the baseball route. It's worked out pretty well. I don't think there's many guards in the NBA like me. So I think baseball was definitely the right route to pick. And I'm happy, very, ecstatic I chose that.
Now, do you ever think about where you'd be if you did take the basketball route?
I'll be working a 9 to 5 in a desk job, probably somewhere.
Loving that confidence. No, I mean, I guess there's a lot of kids who are like playing baseball year round now. There's really no off season for a lot of them. I mean, do you think growing up playing basketball, or I guess how did playing basketball impact your baseball play and vice versa? Because I'm sure there are some benefits of being a two-sport guy.
Yeah, no doubt. I would say it's just different movements and that stuff. You get in good shape with basketball. That always helps with baseball because just running constantly in basketball. Football, same thing. It's just different agility, different movements on the field. And I would say, all of it really, laterally, you're moving in basketball side to side. You're throwing off a mound. You're throwing pretty much side to side off a mound too, in stretch. So it's just different movements like that. And they all kind of play within each other. And then just that competitiveness of wanting to win in all three sports, that builds up, and the will to win, the will to get better, the will to work, all that stuff helps from playing multiple sports. And if you ever get sick of one sport, you get a little, you kind of get overworked maybe mentally. You get a little refresher. You can go shoot some hoops and get your mind off of baseball and do it that way. That's something that, I always relied on too. If I was ever struggling with one sport, I would do something else. And that's why I played, football, basketball, baseball growing up, was to do that. So I'd say mentally too, it's a big part of it.
And third round pick, of course, by the Royals in 2017. You're a Midwest guy, and Kauffman Stadium, I did the math, is not too far away from your hometown. I mean, what was kind of your reaction to getting drafted by Kansas City? Was that a team that you grew up watching?
Yeah, no, I definitely grew up watching them. I went to a 5 to 8 baseball games there, probably growing up. That's a decent amount. Living, 4 hours away isn't bad, but obviously you can't go to games all the time down there. So it was, the first MLB stadium I've ever been to. I just remember Jermaine Dye for the Chicago White Sox hitting a, home run center field, and it was like 430. It was an absolute bomb. And I mean, that's an old throwback kind of name right there that you probably don't hear much as many days now, but just, I remember stuff like that. I remember when there was a rain out, and me and my brother Nick were trying to get a baseball from the bullpen. We were the only ones in the rain, trying to wear the water just to get a baseball in the bullpen. And just fun memories like that, made it a little more special when they did draft me. So that was cool.
There's some names that could definitely be dropped for some of those early 2010s Kansas City. I mean, Alex Gordon, and remember Luke Hochshaver, the former first round pick, and all those throwback names, of course. It's always fun naming those random players for sure, but definitely an interesting era. Then they made it, of course, to the World Series. They won the World Series 2 years before you were drafted. And now they're trying to get back to kind of relevance there. I do want to go back to the Tommy John surgery, and it's almost, I guess, rare that a pitcher doesn't have the surgery at some point in their careers. Is being told that you needed the surgery. Was it emotionally draining news, or was there a sense of hope knowing that there's a lot of guys that come back, and not only do they come back stronger from the operation?
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of both for sure. I was feeling good beforehand, which is the weird part, and then all of a sudden your elbow just pops, and it was a full blown tear completely off the bone. So I had to get it restructured or reconstructed, whatever they call it. That needs the full thing. So decided to go that route, and attack the rehab. Had a good rehab, guy that worked with us, and the other guy that had TJ that year. But yeah, no, it worked out well. I'm feeling great now. Haven't had a problem in my TJ spot since. So, I feel great.
And I mean, if I was an outsider looking in, and I didn't know kind of the way you pitched, your style of pitching, how would you kind of describe yourself without giving too much away? Because I don't know which opponents are listening, but how would you kind of describe yourself? Give me kind of a Daniel Tillo scouting report here.
Yeah, no, I'm a sinker baller. I get high ground ball rates. Get easy outs that way for sure. Change of solid, plays well with my sinker. Slider, as it complements it. Just biggest thing is pounding the zone, and I can take my game to the next level with that. So I get quick, easy ground ball outs. Get a K's once in a while, but the ground ball percentage is what I think the Giants really like. So I'm trying to get outs that way.
And perfect segue, because I'm going to ask you about the juicy stuff, some of the new rules in the game that are going to be implemented in the big leagues. The shift is
Uh-huh.
one that ties into your ground ball percentage. Are you going to be happy
Yeah.
to see the two guys on the right side and the two guys on the left side, or is there a part of you that it's going to miss the Rockets back up the middle where the shortstop's standing right behind second? Well, I guess it's been in the minor leagues for a little bit though, right? So you might have dealt with that already.
Yeah, it's a tad, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest for pitchers, I don't think, especially ones that don't guys that punch out the world. They're okay with it because they're striking guys out a lot. But getting ground balls, obviously, that's not ideal. But there's always times where it'll work out, and then times where it doesn't work out. When the shift was on, so you always kind of wanted to blame the shift for getting the base hit up a little bit, but. Yeah, we'll see how it plays this year, whatever level I'm at. It'll be interesting, but I can only control what you can control. So it's a new rule, and we'll see how it plays out.
And one of the things I was thinking about, I think I brought this up with Trevor, is that I said that it seems like almost every big change in baseball has gone against the pitcher, right? So like in the late 60s when pitching was so good, they had to lower the mound. Like pitching was so good, they had to add a DH. Pitching was so good, they had to crack down on the sticky stuff. It seems like the pitchers are always getting the raw end of the stick. And then the pitch clock comes into it. And I guess, again, pitch clock's been around a little bit at the minor league level. When it was first introduced, did it affect you at all? Did it take time to adjust? What was that process like? And I guess, are you a fan of it?
I actually don't mind the pitch clock. I've always worked pretty quick. Don't always need like the rosin or anything as much, or to take my time or step off really. The thing that helps with the pitch clock is like the pitch comm, where the catcher's is radioing the pitches of what he thinks we should throw next, and he'll do that after he catches the ball. Sometimes it does it so quick, like you get the ball back and you can already hear in your hat what next pitch he wants, and then if you just like give a little shake as you're walking back to the mound, he'll call the next one. So it is nice in that aspect of it speeds the game up a little bit. I don't mind that at all, actually, just because I said I work quick. So, but the pitch com helps that. So we'll see how it does. I guess if they're not doing it in postseason, I'm not sure about that yet. But I think it'll work just fine for me because I work quick.
Yeah, I know some of the big moments last year where, crucial game with the Giants and Camilo Duvall wouldn't be able to hear it because the crowd was so loud
Yeah.
in the ninth inning. So, I mean, it could be tough in some postseason spots, but so it really does happen that quick, though. Right after the pitch, the ball hits the mitt and it's the next pitch is already being called.
Yeah, pretty much. As he's throwing the ball back, as you pretty much catch the ball from the catcher, that is when they'll call the next pitch, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, the catcher's got to think, two steps ahead, I guess, quick now.
He really does.
So, I mean, would you be down? Because there's been that trend. Would you be down, like, if given the opportunity, if you had a pitch comm on you, like on your belt or wherever they have it, do you feel like competent enough to call your own pitches? Is that something that you would deal with?
Yeah, I probably could. I mean, as long as you're convicted in what you're throwing and what you believe in, I mean, I feel like I could, but I also don't mind the opinion of the catcher giving it out too. Catcher's gonna think, especially if you believe in that catcher too, what they put down, you're gonna be like, all right, maybe I should throw that, and you got to go with your catcher too sometimes. So I could definitely see both sides of it for sure.
All right. Enough of the boring stuff. Let's get to the fun stuff. You're a sports card collector, and a notable one. I guess, how did that hobby begin? Because that's something that I mean, I grew up collecting sports cards. I'm sure a lot of baseball fans out there did the same thing. So, how did that kind of love affair begin with you and collecting some sports cards?
Yeah, it was probably when I was around 10 years old. My older brother Nick and I every Christmas would, start opening packs, and whether it was sports cards, we got into Pokemon cards too, actually. So it was just cards in general. We loved it all: Pokemon, sports cards, baseball, basketball, football. Pretty much those three. Pretty much been collecting ever since. And then the boom, in 2019 or whatever, 2020, COVID helped, like the sports card hobby kind of boom, which was cool. And we got back into it probably just a little bit before then. And yeah, we open packs pretty much to this day still when we get the opportunity. And, it's just that, brings me back to my childhood of trying to pull, top rookie cards of baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. And that excitement when you do pull a cool card, it's definitely a good feeling. And it just brings you back to my childhood.
And I remember always going to some of the card shows that they would have in the malls and stuff, and I'd walk out of there with a hobby box, and there's always some adrenaline in ripping open the hobby box and pulling out all the packs, right, and like propping the hobby. I would always video myself like all the YouTubers. I know you do that now. I mean, it was always just a thrill. There's adrenaline to it. Am I right?
Yeah, no doubt. It's fun, you always think in the hobby box, am I going to have, my golden ticket in this box or something, something really cool that's worth a lot of money or something. It's kind of a little way to gamble too, which, I mean, whatever, but it's just fun to do. There's just something about it, that gets you going, gets you fired up to pull some heat because you never know what's inside those packs.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I mean, you've seen the industry change a little bit because a lot of folks almost treat them like stocks. I mean, like a Jalen Hurts auto would skyrocket in value when he's playing in the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow, it happened to him 2 years ago as well. And I mean, is it more fun that way? Is it less fun that way? I mean, I was looking at the John Moran cards, and those like went down because of all the recent events that he's been involved with. So it's almost kind of like the
Yeah.
stock market, but like sports cards.
No, yeah. I mean, if that brings more people into the sports card hobby, I think it's a good idea, more eyes on it, more everything, more people involved. I think it's good. I see both sides of it. I like both sides of it too. I like to collect and I like to sell stuff. It's actually kind of funny. I have like an eBay store back home a little bit where I sell, stuff that I don't want to keep anymore. And my fiance has to run it when I'm playing baseball. And because they thinking our Aaron Rodgers is going to the Packers, my Jordan Love cars have actually been starting to sell on eBay. So it's just funny stuff like that, and it's, I mean, some cars that were selling for $35, I just sold one for like $120. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And I read a cool story about you trying to track down your very own superfractor. And I know
Yeah.
a fan ended up with one of them, right? And then you ended up getting it back.
Yeah. Well, his name's Terry. Terry Gardner is his name. Great dude. Big time, Royals fan, Chiefs fan, and he had my black one of one, the paper, and he gave me that for free for, I don't know, I think I signed a few things for him, but something he didn't need to do, and that was very nice of him. And I talked to him to this day still about sports cards, which is cool. And the Super Refractor was on eBay, and I probably paid a lot, probably way too much money for it. I paid, I think, like $250 or $300, and that's just, pitchers don't really sell for that, especially relievers now. But it was something I needed in my collection because that's the best card that will ever be made of me. So I'm glad it's in my possession, and it'll be in my office forever. So I'm very happy to have that. I'm just missing one more card still, my rainbow, and it's my red paper Bowman number to 5. I have my red chrome number to 5 and a PSA 10, and I'm just missing my red paper now out of 5, and I've been looking for that for 3 years now. So hopefully on eBay it'll pop up.
Yeah, somebody's got to have that. So we'll do like a full out like campaign to try and track this thing down.
I know.
I mean, it's got to pop up somewhere. That's my guess.
Yeah, you would think. I had a I was in a Royals group on Facebook that are collectors, and none of them had it, but they said they continue to look out for it, and to this day, so I haven't heard anything. So maybe they're in a box still. Hopefully, I have it saved on my eBay, the search. I have Daniel Tillo's out of red numbered to 5. I'm waiting for that to pop up or get a Google email or whatever, and I'm gonna pull the trigger and get it right away.
Maybe there's someone out there that just randomly is trying to rival your PC of yourself, and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
So
they could.
yeah,
I have the Holy Grails though, so
Yeah, they got to fight for it. And one thing, I'm going to send you a picture of what I have, because I pulled this Mike Trout. It was called, they did a series. I want to say it was 2016 or 17. One of the last years I really kind of was collecting, but it's called the Scouting Report Auto. It's an autograph, Mike Trout. I pulled the redemption card, and it took a year and a half to get to my house finally, and it's still in the bubble wrap. I'm scared to take it out, but I'll have to send you a picture of that. But that's my most prized
Yeah.
possession. What are your most prized possessions? Is it the cards of you? Anything else? What would you say?
That's awesome. That's a very cool card to have. Yeah, obviously I love the cards myself, but outside of that, I would say, I have the Tom Brady Bowman Chrome rookie card and a BGS 9.5 graded. So I bought that a couple years ago. Still at the right time before when the prices spiked a little bit. So still ahead of that, just a tad. But it's a card I was going to keep probably forever, just because Tom Brady, I think, is obviously the greatest quarterback of all time. I have some Justin Herbert cards. I really like him. He's a good player, fun to watch too. I just think he's really talented. And I bought a Heritage, I think it was 2021 Heritage baseball case, and I ripped it all when I got home. And I pulled a on card Aaron Judge red ink auto
Wow, look at that.
out of 72. Yeah. Yeah.
R-
So that was my best pull this offseason. It's really cool.
Yeah, one of my life goals is to get a case of triple threats. I always thought those were the nicest looking cards when I was a kid, the triple
Yeah, they
threats.
do. Yeah, those are nice too.
That's when you could get like the bat booklets or whatever they're called.
Oh man,
Those are
some of
sick.
those cards are crazy cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, real quick before we head out, what's the best market for cards? Is it football? Is it basketball? Is it baseball? I think I know the answer to this, but I want to hear your take.
I mean, the hottest market I'd say is basketball, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think baseball will always be relevant though, no matter what. Like if something does happen to the hobby, I think baseball stays like the strongest for where it's at right now. Football is just seasonal, I don't. It's just kind of a roller coaster a little bit with that, but I feel like basketball's one of the longer seasons too. Baseball's pretty long too, obviously, but baseball's been around longer too, so it definitely competes with basketball. But I think it's like the younger generation that's now into the hobby. Their favorite is basketball, so I think that's probably the strongest market.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, good luck with your Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Love situation there. Good luck with selling that. But and I appreciate you coming on, Daniel. This was a blast. Say hello to Trevor for me. You guys could bond over the fact that you're A, throwing partners, and B, we're on the same podcast in the same week. So and
Yeah,
best of
for
luck to you,
sure.
by the way, too, for this season. And we'll be rooting you on. So congrats and thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steven. Thanks for having me on.
And everybody out there could, of course, follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast. And you guys could follow Daniel on Twitter too at DT40CERO. And then, of course, he's got a YouTube channel too where he's dropping all of the box breaks and everything that he does in the sports card world. It's all good stuff. So go check it out. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a good one.